Welcome, everyone, to the second version of the Mustang Bronco Wrestling Coaches Show. I'm your host, Brody Feldman. Alongside me, head wrestling coach Brian Piccolo. Coach, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. All right, so I want to just jump straight into the impressive outing that you had this last weekend.
Okay.
You're coming off an impressive Owasso Dual Tournament Championship.
Right.
Where you outscored your opponents. Listen closely. Outscored your opponents 331 to 38.
Yeah.
What was the feeling around the team like with an outing like that one in a dual tournament that when you look at the names, people are like, that's a tough tournament.
Sure. Well, to get us there, we got to go back a little bit, which I think you're probably going to talk about the Edmond North duel. So coming off of a loss that I think we all felt like we should have won. That was a little bit of fire in the belly, a little bit of motivation, and it's coming down to the wire. Like that's our last tournament, and we've got one more home duel, but that's kind of like the end of our season almost, and so we just want to put it together and go out on a high note and have the confidence moving forward into February that okay, we're to the point in the season where we're putting our best wrestling together. And if you go back, Thursday through Saturday, so Thursday we had 3 duels, and then Saturday we had 5 duels. So of those 5 duels, we outscored our opponent 534 to 62. So still, for 8 duels, pretty excited about that. So,
and should we mention that Thursday's duels that you just mentioned were to get you into dual state,
right?
So It's not like it was just a ho-hum duel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, pretty important duels on Thursday, and we won in convincing fashion. So making it back to dual state again this year. So things are starting to kind of really solidify for the postseason. So I'm really happy with where our kids are at mentally, where they're at physically. Finally, we've had some ups and downs with some injuries and things like that. So getting a full lineup together. Once we do that, it'll be a good thing because with COVID, it's like we've had. A couple kids quarantined here and there, then we've had some injuries here and there, and so it's like once we get one kid back, another kid's gone for another reason. So having an entire lineup, I think is going to make us feel whole, and that being the case, we'll be able to put our brand of wrestling out there, which we've been trying to do the entire year.
And I'd be mistaken to not bring this up, but Owasso Dual Tournament. You had the outstanding wrestler of the tournament also, in Brandon Reyes.
Yes, sir.
Which he's also got a little bit of motivation from that Edmond North duel.
We talked about that, and yeah, he definitely does. And Brandon again, he hopefully he's not feeling a whole lot of pressure, but. This is his senior year. This is his chance. He didn't get a chance to go to state last year. I feel like he would have been a state placer for us. He's just fantastic. A grinder, works hard. Pushes himself, and so I'm looking for him to be be in the state finals. Looking for him to be a state champion, and so. Having a few setbacks here and there, those things are hopefully preparing him for when it matters. I tell my guys all the time, everything is practice until the last match. So, he's got some practice, didn't perform as well as he'd like to, and I think has grown from it. And that's what I want to see from my guys more than anything is when we have that setback to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, go back to work, and show me what you're really made of. Show me you didn't get it done that last duel. Show me how you get it done. And so the kids did that this weekend. And Brannigan, obviously other coaches took notice and like, that's our OW. So having a little bit of fire and a little bit of pent up aggression from taking a loss. Hopefully we ride that into February.
Going back, I know we've touched on it, we talked about it a little bit, but going back to that duel last week against Edmond North, it was a tri-duel with Sand Springs and Edmond North on senior night. And so, I mean, you never want to make excuses, but it's like, that's a lot going on.
We did have a lot going on.
But to say that, you didn't have just one wrestler get upset. You have two wrestlers get upset.
Absolutely.
Two number one wrestlers in the state get upset in the same duel. I mean, so how has that duel motivated not just those two, but the whole team, not just in performance on the mat when the lights were on, but also behind closed doors during practice?
Like thinking about that duel, it was harder to lose that duel than it was to win. Like we had to find a way to lose. Like we had to create some scenarios that never in a million years should have happened. And just, hey, you know what? We're tanking. It was like when it started happening, I was just like, oh my gosh! Like, is this really happening? It was astounding to me that we could let the ball get rolling like that. And so. We can't take anything for granted. I think that's the lesson is that we can't take any workout for granted. We can't take any match for granted. Like everybody has a job to do on the team, and depending on who we're wrestling, that job might be different for different people. For some of our hammers, you have to get bonus points if we're gonna beat the Broken Arrows, the Edmond Norths, the Bixby's, the Stillwater, like we have to get bonus points out of our hammers. Some of the other guys, it's like I don't need you to win. I need you to not give up bonus points. Yeah. So your battle for this entire duel is to stay off your back. Don't give them a major. Don't give them a tech. Just fight like crazy and don't give them bonus points. We get bonus points. Other teams don't get bonus points. We win. I think pretty handily. So, and that was the biggest lesson is that hammers got to be hammers, and our hammers kind of turned into nails a couple times. So, but that's the thing. We can't rely on one person to win a duel. And so it's got, and that's why I love the dual format so much in the dual tournaments and things like that, because it's everybody. Like we have to have a performance out of everybody. We can, at the individual state tournament, if we have 5 state champs, we're probably going to win. But there's 9 other kids that maybe didn't perform. So duels, we have to have everybody perform to their level of expectation, their particular job in that duel. So, and I think we're learning how to develop our system and the way we wrestle in that kind of dual setting framework. So, I think we're better prepared now than we were before losing that duel. So, if I've got to take an L. In the middle of the season, even towards the end of the season, for our guys to get it figured out and to understand what they need to do as individuals, then I'll take that. It'd be nice. I think we should have beat Broken Arrow. I definitely think we should have beat Edmond North. It'd be nice to have an undefeated record, but in the end, they give us a dual state championship. I don't know that anybody's going to care that we lost a duel in the season. They still call us state champs. So that's the fun thing about that is it's all practice till we get there.
And I was talking to one of your former wrestlers after that duel, and he even said a brother of one of your number ones that got beat, and he even said, he goes, this right here is probably the best thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And he said because they now have that edge knocked off.
Yeah.
That they don't have to worry about going perfect anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about this or that. It's now they have a guy to chase instead of a guy chasing them.
You know, I love the underdog mentality. And sometimes when you get to be top dog and you haven't been there, it's a little unsettling. Like some kids like get to the top of the heap and they don't know how to deal with the pressure. They don't know how to. Their wrestling changes. Like do the stuff that you did to get you there, and then all of a sudden they get there and they're wrestling tight. They're wrestling to not lose, and they're doing some weird stuff, and it's all because of this self-imposed psychology that makes them think they got to prevent losing something. Like you haven't won anything yet. Like why did you stop wrestling? So once we get through that and we take that label of being number one guy in the state off, now you're the underdog again. Go chase somebody, go get what's yours, and I think it's a little easier mentality to wrestle from rather than trying to hold on. The same mentality happens within a match. You're up by a couple points, and all of a sudden you stop wrestling and you just try to hang on to the win. Well, then these other guys start charging back. They think, oh, okay, I've got it. He stopped wrestling. I have a chance. So I've seen it in matches. I've seen it in careers. So like it's a phenomenon that you see in multiple places within the sport. So I like the underdog mentality, and hopefully, even our top dogs, we can convince ourselves that we're still the underdogs and we still have nothing to lose, because it's that thought of losing something that prevents wrestling.
And I think I've heard you say this before. I know I definitely have heard your son say this before, is you can always be better because there's always a guy out there that is ranked ahead of you, or there's always that guy that people believe is better than you. And as long as somebody believes somebody else is better than you, you've got work to do. Sure.
Yeah, there's something to chase. I try to, in our practices, we chase butt kickings. Like, go find the guy that's going to beat you up today. Find that guy. Find him every day and narrow that margin until maybe you win by a point. And then when you win by a point, win by 5 points. When you win, and then once you've done that, then go find the next guy that's going to kick your butt. Because the mentality of just trying to stay safe in the practice room and wrestle guys you can beat, you're locked into where you're at. You don't continue to develop. Even Tate, being the number one kid in the country, he chases butt kickings. His are from college wrestlers, former Division I All-Americans, things. But he goes and finds people to go beat him up. So he knows what that next level's like, and so that's one of the cool things about wrestling is that there's always somebody better. Like you're never good enough, and you can always improve. And if you're the toughest guy in your room, you're in the wrong room.
Yep. Let's just go back another week.
Okay.
A week further. You hosted the inaugural dual tournament at the event center.
Yes. Yeah.
Our
first tournament. Yeah.
I want to say January 9th. I could be wrong.
I think it was. It was Geary.
The same week as Gary, since Gary got canceled.
Right.
Which is, that could be a whole nother show. Yeah. But how did you manage to put such a tournament together and successfully run it in such a short notice? I mean, you had, let's just go off the top of my brain here. I mean, you've got number one team in 4A Tuttle. You have at the time, I want to say number 6 in 6A Choctaw.
Yep.
At the time, you were number
3 or number 2?
2 or 3, something like that, in 6A. Duncan is
number
ranked.
2. Duncan's 2, and
Duncan's 5A. Right?
Yeah, they're behind Collinsville. Yep.
I mean, so you just just state ranked team after
Right.
one another. I mean, how did you put that together?
Well, so I mean, with Geary being canceled, there's a void, and so and Geary didn't get canceled kind of until the last minute. So we're still thinking Gary's going to go on because it's always gone on, even when we had school closures and everything. Geary still goes on. So
86 years in a row or something like that? I mean,
yeah, it's the longest running high school tournament in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, COVID. But so I'm still thinking that we're going to Geary. Well, we get kind of a little bit of idea that maybe it's not going to go through, and so all of a sudden we just start scrambling like, how about if we do it? So we came up with the idea, and then once it did get canceled, I just started reaching out to the teams that were going to Geary and like, hey, we're going to do a dual tournament, a little bit different, just because, like, we had gone to Broken Arrow, which was a pool tournament, and then a bracket, and then same thing with Sand Springs was a smaller tournament. At one-day tournament, it was pools, then bracket, and so it's like, we've done that twice already. Let's do a dual tournament, change it up a little bit, give a little bit of a fresh, fresh look at competition rather than do the same thing that everybody else has done. So, I contacted those teams, and everybody was on board. Like, yeah, we're coming. So I got our teams, and then we just went to work as far as just trying to set it up, make sure we had workers, and because there were no fans, everybody was quick to want to help work a table. Like we get in the building, we can watch wrestling. So we didn't have any problems finding table help because everybody wanted to come. So it worked out perfect, and the tournament ran great. I think the officials said, man, this was the best run tournament we've been to all year. So it worked well, and then we got to beat Tuttle for the first time in my career. And talking to Coach Allen, he's been here 30 years. He can't remember when we've beat Tuttle in a duel. So it's been a number of years since we beat Tuttle, and so getting the chance to beat Tuttle in the finals was pretty sweet as well.
Yeah, not only you run your first one, but you win your first
one. Right, yeah. And then we had Tate out with an injury, and Christian was out with quarantine, and so I thought, this is gonna be kind of rough, and we bought this real nice trophy to give to somebody else, and so I was excited to take that. Give me my trophy back. So it was good.
Well, that's the first half of the Mustang Broncos Wrestling Coaches Show. We'll be right back after these quick messages.
Hey Oklahoma, it's barbecue time, and Swadley's is now serving world-famous steaks. Come on by and see us today or order online at swadleys.com. We're Swadley's world-famous barbecue, where faith and families come together.
Get low prices every day at Smickless Chevrolet. If you want to rock a Chevy, got 500 new and used, like Camaro, Silverado, Chevy, Malibu, and Cruise. Bad credit, you can still buy. 50 lenders standing by. Hit up that Smickless Chevy app and search right from your phone, or head to Northwest Expressway and County Line Road. Get low prices every day at Smickless Chevrolet. SmicklessChevrolet.com.
Welcome back to the Mustang Broncos Wrestling Coaches Show. Second half, Coach, we're going to look ahead.
Okay.
The first half, we looked back and we reminisced on the goods and the bads, and now we're going to look ahead to see what it looks like. Your final duel of the season is approaching with the Tuttle Tigers.
Right.
You travel to Tuttle between the break. You're telling me this is the first away duel. Crazy to think. Last duel of the season. first time you get to leave.
Right.
But how do you handle as a coach and hopefully as a team the final duel before your postseason really gets rolling?
Well, I sound like a broken record, but it's practice. It's practice. It doesn't mean anything. They're 4A. It's not going to matter for us as far as seeding with dual state and all that stuff. So we beat them. We beat them when we're injured. We beat them when we're quarantined. So hopefully, knock on wood, we have a full team, and we can go put our full team out there and have just as good of a result as we did at our dual tournament. So, to me, it's an opportunity to compete against really good kids. Tuttle always has excellent wrestling, and so I want to see our kids compete. Every opportunity to compete that they've gotten this year is just. It's just a push, it's a springboard to what we're looking for in February. So I want, and we've had our little guys kind of pull through and do really well, and then our big guys drop the ball, and then we've had our little guys kind of take a beating, and then our big guys kind of pull through for us. So I want to see a full effort. I want to see our entire team, 106 to heavyweight, have a complete duel. And we did that this weekend. Looking back to the Wausau tournament, I think we had some pretty full duels. Now Tuttle's a different animal.
I'm going to say 81 to nothing. Still looking for a full duel?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. There's still 3 points on the board. Like, where were those 3 points? Like, it wasn't 84 to nothing. But Tuttle's a different animal. They're a stout team. They're tough, top to bottom. So that'll be the challenge for us is to have everybody back for that duel, wrestling to their potential, and we'll see how it shakes out. Again, either it's a successful duel. Either way, to steal a quote from Jocko Willink, good. If we win, good. Springboard to the postseason. If we lose, good. Gives us an opportunity to work on something. So no matter what, it's going to be good.
All right. You heard it here first. So, like we've mentioned, the season's quickly reaching its end. And that means regionals, state, dual state. You'll get a calendar, and oh my gosh, they're right there.
Yeah.
They're next thing coming up. So, how is your group doing health-wise going into this postseason, and hopefully what is going to be a very long and successful run?
We've been dinged up, but I think we're on the mend from that, and so everybody's healthy. It's been a weird year. We've only had, I think my guys have only had about 20-something duels 20-something matches where, going into the state tournament, they're at like 40. So we're about half of what we typically are in a year. But we had more injuries this year than we ever have. And I don't know if it's because we wrestled less and our bodies weren't as conditioned and we're getting dinged up. It's a weird thing to wrestle less and be injured more.
Yeah.
So that kind of confounded me a little bit, but we're good. We're good. I think all of our little injuries, we've had some little nagging ones, but nothing that's going to prevent our guys from wrestling to their ability. So I'm looking forward to it as long as everybody stays healthy with COVID. That's going to be the biggest thing for us is keeping kids 6 feet away from each other in the school, making sure we're not picking up these close contact tracing things because we haven't missed anybody. We haven't missed out on any duels or anything because of COVID, but just getting quarantined. And so just keeping our kids in the room, practicing on the team, not getting pulled out for those contact tracing things, that's going to be a huge deal. So, what it comes down to is just discipline. What are you willing to sacrifice in order to accomplish our goals? It might mean sacrificing some of your social life. It might you can't sit at the table with everybody in the lunchroom. You go sit with you and another wrestler away from people. It's going to take some atypical things like that to ensure that we have everybody. If we have everybody, I'm really confident. Our guys are wrestling good. I think like mental health, that's going to be one of the most important aspects of going into the postseason is how are we here? How are we mentally strong? Are we feeling confident? And confidence going into the postseason is huge. Little twinges of doubt are magnified greatly in February. If you're confident, that's magnified in February. Like postseason just magnifies everything. If you're injured, that injury seems like a big deal. If you're feeling good, feeling healthy, that's that's magnified. So hopefully we're able to magnify the good aspects and diminish the things that are kind of holding us back a little bit. But I think we're in a good place.
I always, when I think about how magnified everything is at the postseason, I always go back to that funny maybe story of John Wiley, freshman year, takes what? Fifth or fourth at regionals, and people are like, who was that guy? That's not John. And you and Tate call him up and say, hey, John, let's go get an icy. We're going for a ride.
Yep.
And you have a talk with him. He comes out at state, has to wrestle in the wrestle-in match.
Yep.
And goes from wrestle-in match to state champion.
Yep. Well, and I mean, that just goes to show how important that mentality is. And being able to let go of some fear, being able to let go of expectation, and just let your wrestling come out. If you let your wrestling come out, you're going to be successful. That's the thing that I told John, and that was where I tried to get him mentally, and that's what all of our guys need to do. You need to let go of any expectation. We don't wrestle to expectations. We wrestle to standards. You have a standard of wrestling that is your standard. Don't expect to win. Don't expect to score such and such points. Don't expect a pin. Wrestle to your standard. If you wrestle to your standard, then you'll you have nothing to look down upon, no matter what. You are going to most likely you're going to be successful because our standard is so high. So that's the trick, is to get a teenager to let go of an expectation and to only wrestle to the standard of wrestling that he has. That if I can get all 14 of our kids to do that, we might have 14 state qualifiers.
And talking about John Wiley, since last time we talked, John Wiley has made an announcement.
Yes, sir.
That shouldn't come as a surprise now with who is at OU. But maybe 2 years ago, with the way wrestling was going in the state of Oklahoma, kind of would put oh my gosh, what's going on into some of the fans up north. But John Wiley has announced he's committed to the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Which makes me excited for selfish reasons. With both my boys, Cam is wrestling there now, and then Tate is committed. He'll be there next year. So, John he's wrestled for me, and him and Tate have been best buds since they're 5-6 years old, and Cam too. They we have pictures of them when they're yay high wrestling together. So I just think it's going to be a really, really awesome experience for all of them to continue. They share such a strong bond, and they all have such a love for wrestling. I think those three together helps to define the culture in that room. Tate is an extremely hard worker. Cam, extremely hard worker. John, extremely hard worker. They all have big goals. They all love wrestling. I mean, the getting to put them to inject them into that program, really it's a source of pride for me because I get to drive 40 minutes down the road and continue to watch my wrestlers compete. So I'm super excited for John. I'm super excited for OU. So I think good things are on the way.
I say, and I just want to go down a list real quick. Is John Wiley committed to OU?
Yes.
Tate signed to OU. Cam already there.
Yep.
Judson Rowland, Engage McBride at UCO.
Correct.
Tucker Owens signed to Air Force.
Yes.
And Jack Kitchenham and Keegan Luton, Oklahoma. Was that Oklahoma City University?
Yeah, Oklahoma City.
So this is just in the last 3 years,
right,
of wrestlers that you're sending to, not just to wrestle, but OU, UCO, OCU, and Air Force. Those are big names.
Sure. I knew this group was special way back when they're little. The excitement they have about wrestling, the way they responded to coaching, the way they competed, I knew these kids weren't going to be done at high school. Like and you can look back to some Facebook quotes like 8 years ago. I think it was Daniel Wiley even put, and it was those kids. There's a picture of them. It said "Future of Oklahoma Wrestling," and they're all together. Bam West is actually in there as well. So it's been really cool to be a part of. But those kids, they've been coming for a long time. I don't think it's really a surprise, but I'm just glad to have shared a part in the journey. Those kids moving on to college, the journey's theirs now, and I get to sit back and get to be a spectator. But just knowing that I had a small hand in getting them to where they are, that's better than the wins, and that's the thing that a coach looks forward to is being able to develop an athlete where they're in a position where they can go chase their dreams beyond you. I want my kids to be better than I am. So
absolutely. As you hear the buzzer, I think that's it. That's a wrap on the second version of the Mustang Broncos Wrestling Coaches Show. Again, I'm your host, Brody Feldman, alongside me, head coach Brian Piccolo. Coach, thanks for coming in and
thank you
talking with us. And thank you all for watching, and hopefully we'll see you soon with a lot of good announcements of how the wrestling team finished their postseason. Thank you, and go Broncos.